Hello, everybody.
What's up? What's up?
You gotta say something.
Hey.
I do.
Yeah.
You don't, you don't have to say nothing. We got,
Here.
okay.
Review.
Ready? Okay, I'm going to show you guys a picture, and I'd like for you to take a moment and look at it. And what kind of words come to mind? Maybe cute, adorable, lovable. As a child, I never could have thought of a word that would encompass how great a puppy was. When my parents would go to the mall, I didn't want to go to play video games or to get a toy. I wanted to go to look at the puppies in the window. I wanted to watch them play, to sleep. I could have sat there for hours. However, if I knew then what I know now, that about 95 to 99% of the puppies in pet stores come from puppy mills, I probably never would have set foot in that store again and never looked in the window. I feel like the better that we understand the abuse that goes on inside of puppy mills, that we can work together to push for stronger legislation against inhumane breeding. Now, to better understand why that's needed, tougher legislation, first we need to understand exactly what is a puppy mill. Second, we'll discuss what laws are in place to protect animals. And third, what we can do to stop puppy mills. So let's start by defining what is a puppy mill. Webster's Dictionary defines a puppy mill as a commercial farming operation in which purebred dogs are raised in large units. Well, that sounds pretty nice to me. It doesn't sound like it would be a very bad place. I picture a farm as somewhere with a large pasture where a mama and her puppy could play and frolic in the fields. That's not exactly the case. Typically, this is what a puppy mill looks like. As you can see, the animals are housed 3 to 4 in a cage. And I'd like just for a second to imagine that you're on an airplane for 8 hours in a class that you don't want to be in, or maybe listening to a speech that you're ready for it to be over. You know at some point you're going to get to leave. Some of these animals are going to be born in this cage and die in this cage. Some of them have never felt grass under their feet. They've never breathed a breath of fresh air. The only air that they've ever breathed is air that's full of the stench of feces and urine. Just some general information about puppy mills. I got from the ASPCA, the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. The puppy mills first began in the late 1940s after World War II. Farmers were looking for alternative crops to replace the crops that they were currently growing because they were failing. Well, puppy farms are not, don't require a lot of labor, and they're not dependent on the weather. So they were kind of a fail-proof crop. They began producing puppies in mass amounts and distributing them to stores like Sears and Montgomery Ward. Thus was born the chain pet store. The parent dogs, the ones that are being bred, they often endure the worst abuse. They're bred as often as possible. This is a picture of 2 dogs rescued from a Virginia puppy mill. In this current condition, as long as they're able to reproduce, they will continue breeding them. They receive little to no veterinary care. If they're unable to continue reproducing, or the puppies, let's say, come out with some kind of defect or like a twisted ear or a twisted limb, and they're not able to sell them, they're exterminated. I'm going to show you a quick video. It's of a man that used to work at a puppy mill, and at some point during his employment, he became very uncomfortable with the practices that's going on there. I found this on YouTube. It's actually the Humane Society's YouTube channel. It starts kind of in the middle of his interview. So I'll talk about exactly what he says after he's done. And he's talking about how they destroyed the puppies they didn't need anymore.
So he started taking notes about what he was seeing.
2 baby Yorkies died. My boss threw them in the trash. And 428 and my boss shot a Westie and he buried, he beat a Yorkie to death on a tree. The tree no longer exists, he cut it down to get rid of the evidence. And he killed 9 more puppies that had ringworm on 6108. One wasn't no good to him anymore, or sickly. He could either shoot or knock in the head,
Not in the head of fire.
or hammer, or whatever, you know, little stick.
He says he saw.
So basically at the end there, she asked him what was used to kill the last puppy he was talking about, and she said what was used, and he said a hammer. So as you can see, it is an execution style death for these dogs. Euthanasia isn't used because it's more costly than drowning, shooting, or beating them to death. Obviously, health is not a priority. With a responsible breeder, they would only make the most healthy, top quality dogs so that they could produce good puppies. And since that's not the case in puppy mills, many of the puppies end up with hereditary or congenital problems like epilepsy, heart disease, or kidney disease. Due to the unsanitary conditions of puppy mills, many of the puppies end up with viruses like heartworm or kennel cough. One more serious disease is the parvovirus. The AVMA described the parvovirus, that's the American Veterinary Medical Association, as a gastrointestinal disease that's very painful. It basically eats the dog from the inside out. The puppy can get this disease by either just simply inhaling the virus or ingesting it. There's about a 48 to 72 hour window before they can save the puppy or it will die. So obviously you and I would never go to one of these places and purchase a puppy for ourselves or for a loved one. How are these puppies being sold? Often there's puppy brokers that will go and purchase a puppy from a puppy mill, and then he purchases them in bulk and then takes them and distributes them to pet stores. Also, there's internet breeders or ads in the newspaper where the breeder will meet you at a location so that you never see where the puppy is originating from. So obviously these practices are wrong. They have to be against the law, you would think. Sadly, it's not quite the case. The only federal legislation in place is the Animal Welfare Act. And basically that's the minimum quality of care that a breeder has to maintain. And that's food, shelter, and water. There's some loopholes with the Animal Welfare Act. Let's say there's a breeder, online breeder, the federal government doesn't recognize online breeders as breeders. They recognize them as retailers. The state doesn't recognize online breeders as retailers. So they kind of fall in the crack between state